Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stress Free IEP, the show where we help families build their village so they can raise their neurodivergent children with confidence, clarity, and support. I'm your host, Frances Schefter, special education attorney, advocate, and fellow parent walking this journey with you. Whether you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube or listening later on your favorite podcast app, we are so glad you're here. Let's dive in and meet today's amazing guest. Alexis Mays-Fields is a Washington, D.C. native and a K through 12 educator with 20 years of experience. She currently serves as the Associate Director of Student Support for a network of 6 charter schools, supporting more than 40 faculty members and 120 students with diverse learning needs. She is passionate about driving meaningful change in education for both children and adult learners. Alexis, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much.
I'm so glad to have you here, especially, me being a former teacher, I always love talking to people in the education system of how things have changed and how things need to change.
I thought you were going to say how things have stayed the same, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Our education system was developed how many years ago? And, right?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I always say. It's so as bad as it is, it's better than it was.
Correct.
And it's better than other countries.
Yeah.
But it's working on finding those things that work for our kids. And I know you're big on arts integration. And so how does that work with you, integrating that into special education and how you work?
I think so. Let me give you just a little bit. My background is in art, right? So I was an artist. Yeah, I got my bachelor's in art, and then I moved into education because I was really dead set on integration of content with artistic skills. So I love photography, I love visual arts. And so what I found in my thesis way back in the day when I started teaching is that students really thrive when they could do hands-on things, right? So making things real for them, making them tactile or kinesthetic. So it really just opened up my eyes of oh, how can the arts foster something, especially for our students who are nonverbal, for our younger students, of course, but our middle schoolers, they want to have fun too, right? They want to get their hands dirty. So I really foster, how do I use artistic materials to support the needs of all learners, because I'm trying to reach different modalities, right? And so pretty soon you'll find out the kids who do not have any paperwork are oh, I want to be with you, I want to go in your group, and I want to do the arts components as well. So that's really where I lean into that. But now that we have UDL, we of course, the discrepancy around multiple modal learning. I think that arts integration fits in perfectly. But of course, you don't have to necessarily be trained in art to do those things either.
Right. Exactly. It's so funny because it's bringing me back. When I was in undergrad, I did my undergrad in early childhood, but I also did a semester in Italy with the art teacher studying art. And it was so cool learning, because, to learn about the Statue of David, how, standing in front of it, learning how to paint while looking out over, Italy's views,
yes.
Yeah. So it was amazing. I love art. And it's so true of a way for kids to express themselves.
Absolutely.
Don't have the language. I mean, both my girls use art to calm themselves down.
Okay.
They color and stuff, because it's just, it's in our genes. We're very artistic on my side of the family. And it's such a great way to allow kids to express themselves. What makes me crazy in today's world is the art teacher says, today we're going to make pandas. Here's the circles. Here's the little circles here. And they give you all the parts. And this is what the panda looks like. Now let's put it together. Instead of, here's some black and white paper, make a panda, right?
Oh, that's true, Francis. the need to initiate, right? Like, or test, or
Right.
be curious with materials. That
Mhm.
is definitely, I think, one of the barriers, right? Because then
Yep.
you get the kids, it's like, oh, I can't do this. I
Exactly.
can't paint. I don't know how to draw a line. I get discouraged easily. So that's when you do have to open up, like what you're saying is like, let people explore materials and give them no rules. Right.
Yep.
And okay, the teachers in the chat are going to be like, oh no, lose control. No, ma'am. Right.
Exactly.
But think of it like how you do when you engage with your pre-K student, right? And or your pre-K child, and allow them to play in the sand, play in the Play-Doh, play in the dirt. Like, you're more likely to do that than like your fifth grader. I'm like,
Yep.
don't make a mess, don't do this. But it's like, this is the same pre-K kid who once was able to like play with their hands. So I think you do have some locus of control, but then you have to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna release for a little bit so that you can explore, because you never know what they're gonna come up with.
Right.
Right.
Well, and
So, so some could be
yeah,
more rigid than others, some strategies.
yeah,
But of course, stay curious, like allow them to
right.
play.
Well, because it's also, it's also, as you said, like some kids can't do that, and so they're gonna get frustrated.
Hmm.
I'm thinking back to, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was for my master's in special ed. One of our teachers had us do I'm trying to remember because it wasn't a portrait. It was introduce ourselves, basically,
Okay.
was the assignment. But it wasn't like, oh, you need to do a picture. You need to tell yourself 3 things about yourself. It was just introduce yourself in whatever way is comfortable. And it was
Mm.
so amazing to see us as adults coming out with like what we did to introduce ourselves. Like I brought my bunny in and Tupperware because I was selling Tupperware at the time. And like, and I had a little pet bunny, which was always interesting, and like things like that. And one of the guys, yes, we had guys in our teaching class. There was one, but
Thank
he
you.
he did right. He did this metal thing of him with like
Oh.
scrap metal that was amazing. But like all of us did something different, but still did what the goal was of introducing ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I always have, I don't want to say issues, but that's where I struggle sometimes when teachers say, you have to do this project and this is the material and this is the way to do it, which I
Mm-hmm.
understand when you're teaching art. Like, okay, if your objective is to teach the child how to use clay, then teach the child how to use clay, but let them make what works for them.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Focus on, like, what is the task? Do you want the kid to be able to make a panda bear? Or do you want the kid to understand what a panda bear looks like? Like, what's the
Mm.
purpose of it?
Exactly.
So that, because it relates back into like writing and all the other subjects also. What's the purpose of it? Like, does it have to be this way to show it,
Yeah.
to prove it, right?
Yeah. So like that creative freedom, what you made me think of. It's like creative freedom with the goal in mind. So whether that's like
Yep.
the IEP goal or the standard or what the rubric is saying. So as long as you're addressing the skills, like let's go ahead and have fun with it. But I will say, like, I'm probably an unpopular opinion in that regard. But like, don't do this if you don't have management.
Right. Oh no,
you know,
100%.
like try some baby steps. But I do think like if you yourself are not curious, creative, have creative license, or want to initiate tasks in a very fun way, this may be hard, right?
Right.
So then they like exploring it in small doses,
Yep.
because like I'm sure like across the United States, like being an art teacher is like far removed. So like having an art teacher even push into your special education classrooms or your inclusive classrooms might be difficult. Or if maybe you don't have art as a elective in your classes or in your schools, and so then you as the teacher have to figure out how to do this and make it palatable for yourself, right?
Right. Well, but I also see times that if a child is being forced to do it one way and they get frustrated, you're going to have behavior issues.
Oh, yeah,
Whereas if you
absolutely.
know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
that balance of, yeah, and it might even be, here's an example of what you can do,
Yeah.
because some of our kids need that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what to do. Tell me how to do it. Tell me what to do. But
Yep.
then differentiating of like, here's an example of what you do, but if you want to do something different, these are the key elements you have to have,
Mhm.
So, and
Absolutely, agreed.
yeah. And yes, it's hard. And if you don't have classroom management, and if it doesn't work for you, don't try it. We're not saying, but that's the thing, is like to think about each individual child to the extent that you can, and what their needs are, and what's in their IEP, and how we can differentiate and make this work for everyone in the classroom,
Mhm.
including the teacher.
Absolutely, and you done said a bad word, Francis, when you said differentiation.
Right.
Differentiation, customization, all of those things that require more planning,
Right.
right? Than we want to really put forth an effort to do sometimes.
Right.
So in order to make arts integration work, you do have to do an extra bit of planning,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Read the curriculum, right? Read
Right.
read the text, read the IP, read the goals, to
And
make sure
also
that you're
lean
meeting those
on,
needs.
right, if you're a gen ed teacher, if you're an art teacher, lean on your special ed team, coordinator, the special ed team lead,
Yes, the
of
key
like
collaboration.
what can I do to help this child do this,
Hmm.
and see, because as a former teacher, I never want to put more on a teacher's plate,
Yeah,
like
absolutely. It's enough. It's enough.
they are already, yeah, it's enough and then some. They don't even have time to do everything they're already doing, gen ed,
Mm-hmm.
special ed, like all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, sometimes with a little bit of advanced planning, you're going to be more successful.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it's going to be a better environment for all of you, because you're not going to have the kids getting frustrated. You're going to have people being more allowing themselves to come out and express themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And I think like what you're touching on is too, like the need to collaborate across
Mhm.
teams. And so I really love to leverage like your speech pathologist, your ABA therapist, your clinical psychologist, because they have a way to really engage with students, right?
Yeah,
That will then support you in the classroom, right? So we
yeah,
sometimes look at what they do as like a silo or operating separately from what we're doing, but they're having fun in sessions, okay? Like they're using
right,
blocks, they're using all kinds of stuff. It doesn't matter how old you are, right? So they're like stepping outside of the worksheet to really make sure that the student is meeting all of their goals and milestones. So the more you can talk to the RSPs in your building, like the better the student is, and but also like the strategies that you didn't know you could use, or
yep,
you're open to them. So
yeah,
shout out to the RSPs
right,
of the world who like make the special educator's life a little bit more easier, right, and more palatable, especially with disabilities that we may not understand as well. So I think that they are also like some secret holders,
oh
as it,
yeah,
as it relates to like how we can engage students better, whether it's in through the arts or through something else.
right. I had an IEP meeting one time, and the speech teacher is going on with, oh, they do awesome in sessions with me, and we do this, and this, and I went, teacher, do you know about these strategies? And the teacher's like, no. Like, why aren't you talking? Because, like, once the teacher learned those strategies that the speech person knew, like, we're all educated differently. Talk
Exactly.
together. What's working for you? Let's see how we can make that work in the classroom for us.
Yes, please, or bring them in the classroom. Can
Right.
you, yeah, can
Exactly.
you
Push
come
in
see me?
services. Yeah.
Yeah, can you come see me at 2 o'clock? Please,
Right.
because I'm struggling
Right.
with this. Yes.
Yeah. And it's so, our society can tend to be very, don't ask for help, don't admit your
Yeah,
weaknesses,
yeah, yeah.
but with special education, like I say to all the parents, like a little tagline is, you do not need to do it all alone, right? Like you can't.
You
And if
cannot,
you
no.
try to, you're going to burn out. You're not helping anybody. And like work as a team, you're going to make life easier for all of you.
Hmm. Yeah. And find the right people. Like, parents have great antennas. The
Right.
people that you fully trust, people who mean your child the best. And they don't assume the worst, not using like more deficit mindset language to communicate how they will prosper, right? So I think that parents are already on guard, right?
Yeah.
So as a team member, you then kind of, sell yourself as to like, okay, I'm here to help you in the long run, right? They may be in fourth grade now, but my goal is to get them to eighth grade. And like, this is the steps that you need to take in order to do this. So I think, all that you're saying is truly correct. You cannot do it alone. Special educators can't do it alone. Parents can't do it alone. And our RSPs can't do it alone. That's why we are an MDT team, right? Because we're meant to be working together.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing. Like that's why the IEP team, the multidisciplinary teams were set up the way they are, is because
Mm-hmm.
you need somebody from each discipline
Yes.
area to be able to give their input. And it frustrates me that, there are times I'm in IEP meetings and the psychologist says this and everybody says, oh, okay. Like it was the psychologist's decision. It's like, no, wait a minute. The psychologist is giving us the cognitive input of what they see. But teacher, what do you see? Special ed teacher, what do you see? Speech language pathologist. It's not like we each have our lane that we have to stick in. It's we each share from our lane. Now let's see when we merge together what works and how we can plan for this child, this multidimensional child that has all of these needs, and what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I would fully suggest like, pre-meets are helpful in that
Yeah.
regard, right? Like if you don't know what's coming, right? Because parents tend to be the ones that are most off guard,
Mhm.
caught off guard. Because like one, if you don't understand all of the jargon that is being thrown at you, but the teacher can definitely finesse that by bringing in the work samples, right? This is what it looks like. When I say that a student can't do X, Y, and Z, this is what it looks like, right? But this is what they are able to do, right? Because imagine how empowered the parent walks away feeling, right? And don't forget, like our multilingual learners, so like the support of like language translation services or someone who to support that barrier, just to make sure that everybody feels successful at the end of the day. Because the person who gets the short end if we don't collaborate is the student.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
And that's the
Like we
thing.
don't want
We're not
that.
Yeah, we're all here for the student. We're a team. It's
Yeah.
not like people say often, like, but you're an attorney, you're adversarial. I'm like, no, I'm not. Yes, I'm an attorney.
Yeah.
I will be if I have to be, but by nature, I'm not an adversarial person. I want to work together as a team. I'm a middle child. I'm the peacemaker,
Okay. Well, thank
right?
you.
Like, like let's all talk together. We can have a difference of opinion. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean it has to be adversarial, but like
Right.
let's talk through and see where we are. We can agree to disagree if needed, but if we talk through and we truly listen to each other, like mom and dad saying, well, interesting that their child won't do that here because they will at home, and this is how we get them to. Or
Mm-hmm.
the students doing what at school? The parents are saying, wait a
Yeah.
minute. And so how is the teacher getting that? Because then that helps home life. And we have continuity
Yeah.
of how we're as a team presenting ourselves to the child. And the child's not like, well, at school they make me do this, and at home they make me do that.
Mm-hmm.
The speech
Mm-hmm. You
person
didn't
makes me do
confuse
that.
the kid. Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Right?
We have to share people. We have to share
Right.
ideas, right, across types of things to do with students. The how is equally important, right? Because
Right.
9 times out of 10, the parent didn't know what was coming, like especially if it's attached to a disability that they're unsure about.
Yeah.
Um, so we want to make sure we're as helpful as possible using the strategies or applying the strategies that speak to the kids.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And what works for them? What are their strengths? How can we
Hmm.
use their strengths to bring up the weaknesses?
Absolutely.
Like if their strength is art, okay, how can we work art into what
Everything
they're
we're doing.
doing, right? Like into history, into science, like, okay, so
Hmm.
do they really need to write a paper or do a slideshow in science to show this information? Or is there another way using art they can do something that gets the information across, but in a way that's more comfortable for them?
And then I mean, there's so many like dimensions in art. Like there was this whole movement with like project-based learning for a while,
Mm,
where like teachers, of course, like don't want to plan an extra project, but it's not just like it's a process throughout that lends itself to an outcome, right? And so imagine if you did that with the whole class, then everybody's needs get met. If you're like planned purposefully and you've definitely customized the work for each student need or each group of students needs. And so then students feel like there's a sense of mastery, especially if you are the kid that feels like, oh, I've never been top of the class, or I won't get an A, or whatever the top grade is. So there's things like that. But then there's like photography, right, which is like very low level risk for kids. There's visual arts, like all the kids will doodle at some part of the day. Like
Yeah.
you're doing all the talking and they're doodling and not listening to you. So you might as well make it
Right,
make it
exactly.
good, right? So like make the doodles worthwhile. Like there's so many things like storyboard or like apps, and you, because we're in this generation of like AI, use it to your advantage so that it doesn't become like something that you're totally against. For students to use, especially like our older students, right? People are, they're into gaming, right? Utilize that. Like kids are into coding. These are all facets of the arts that you could utilize in your classrooms. But again, like you said earlier, it does take a level of planning and prep, but it also takes you knowing those kids. Right. Like if you don't have any buy-in, then they probably won't have any buy-in. But if you're looking at these kids day to day, like class period to class period, and you recognize like, oh, they have a strength here. Like, how can I maximize it and utilize it? Now, granted, like standardized tests, we're not even gonna talk about that with our arts integration, but it can be a way to make things feel sticky for kids. Like, this is information that was hard for me. I was able to attach it to an arts integrated way, and now I have buy-in, but also have built like muscle memory as to what it means to do this when I have to do it independently, right? Because like flashcards are nothing but putting some markers to the page.
Right.
If you don't want to buy them, like you can make them. And so kids making stuff also builds muscle memory. So it's not as hard as people probably want to make it seem, but I'm definitely,
that's a study method. Have the kids make because you're now integrating everything. If you're making flashcards for yourself, here's the question, here's the answer. The kid is now reading the question, writing the answer, and I usually tell them to do it out loud because then you're getting the auditory also. Because we have visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic learners. And so this way you're working, it's the multimodality of learning.
That's it.
Right?
That's, that's the name of the game. Because frankly, don't we need multiple modalities to get something done?
100%, right?
Yeah, like the adults, we were once kids.
Yep, exactly. And we do too. And why are we expecting the kids to do something different?
No.
I did. So I'm remembering in law school, there was one class that my best friend in law school, he's like, just come with me. We'll do it on the computer instead of handwriting it. It was the worst exam I'd ever done. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because I hand wrote all of my notes in class. I hand wrote all of my outlines, and then I typed them as a reinforcement. But for me, it was the writing that triggered memory of everything from the class, because that's what I do when I'm doing it. And that's the muscle memory you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, bring back of like, so, and I mean, the other thing is like, you can delete on the computer. You can't really delete on the writing, but that was a factor too. But like it came to me of like, why did I do so bad on that? And it's like, because typing didn't trigger my memory. It was the actual action of writing. And that goes to, it just connected to me about IEPs and how standardized tests, say if it's not an accommodation that you're getting and using in class, it shouldn't be one you're using on a standardized test.
Oh, Francis, you talking something good now, because that like I think of like human scribe, human reader. Right. Yep. So like if we're not practicing that, kids are gonna look at you crazy like, what is this? Even as small as like extended time, right? Yep. Like so many kids do not utilize their extended time because they're like, I'm done. No, friend, you can't be done because we gave you extended time. But if I'm not giving you extended time in math or in English and in class, then you're right. Like that practicing of the accommodation so that you actually utilize it, or it's going away. Like a read aloud accommodation is hard to come by these days. So if you have one for reading assessments, practice it. use it, let the kid know that they have it, and then they advocate for whether they want to use it or not in the moment, right?
Right.
And I think I'm
Right.
all about, like, empowering kids with their accommodations. Look, this is what you have. This is the
Right.
menu of options. Um, what do you think works best for you?
Right.
What do you don't want? Like, especially my, secondary ed all the way to middle school, so fourth grade to 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Because high school, listen, my high school, you should really know what's going on, what's going to help you,
Yep.
right?
100%.
And so our goal should always be like, let's have conversations with kids about what's going on, and what their IEP says and what this means, and then what it doesn't mean, right?
Right.
And then you can always refuse, but just know next year you might not have that, right?
Exactly.
So I think, like, that's really big. Like, empower kids to do the thing, whatever learning style, help them to see what their
And
learning style
that's,
is, a preferred method.
yeah, I mean, and I get parents to ask me all the time, like, well, when should my child be invited? Like, legally at 14, they have to be invited to their IEP meeting. But
Yeah.
my daughter started, I want to say it was 8, the first time she went to her IEP
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
She didn't come for the whole time. She came and talked about what's happening in class, what support she needs, what's working and what's not working.
Mm,
And so
good for
that
her.
was right. That's empowering for her to be able to express it. She's now understanding her IEP and what's working. Obviously, we put additional supports in and
Yeah.
things, and that stuff. It wasn't the only thing, but our kids know what's
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
In 6th grade, it's so funny. The speech language pathologist calls me because they know everybody knows what I do for a living. I'm an education attorney. So the teachers are a little,
Oh
jumpy
no, they
sometimes.
don't want to see you coming.
Right. And so the speech pathologist calls me and she's like, so I went to get her for speech and she refused to come. I'm like, it's okay. Just put refuse to come. I'm okay with it. Let me talk to her and see what's going on. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, Mom, I'm fine. People understand me. I don't need speech. And she says, when I get pulled out for speech, I'm missing instruction, and that makes my anxiety harder.
Oh,
I'm
well,
like,
look at that.
okay, honey, we don't need speech anymore. You know what
Oh,
I mean? Like, it just,
okay.
because there's a reason, and that makes sense. It's like, is she entitled to it? Should she have it? Maybe. But if she's not using it and she's stressing out too much, she's not benefiting from the service.
Yeah,
And
truly. I mean, I think I love that. Like, you allow her to come early
mhm,
on to a
yeah,
piece of the meeting, right? Because we don't want it to be like this berating session either about what you
right.
can't do in class. We have implemented, like, student portfolios too, so that
Mhm.
you can then speak about your portfolio, about the work that you're producing in class. Because whether you can see it, like, on your grade level report card, your IEP report card, I mean IEP progress report, or the work samples that you're bringing home, we want, like, this full picture of who you are, and then we want the kid to be able to speak to, what I really love about school, my strengths and weaknesses, like you said earlier, right? And
Yeah.
what makes me really happy about coming to school, like what subjects I really thrive in and why, or even, like, type of, to the point of, like, what type of teacher like I
Yeah.
appreciate, what do they bring to the table, and, like, what do I enjoy about being in their class. So I
I
love that.
love that because, I'm just thinking about that, like having the kids do their own portfolio before
Hmm.
the IEP meeting. And if they don't want to come to the IEP meeting, that's fine. You can just give us the portfolio that we can discuss it and figure out where things are. Like,
Hmm.
that's fine too. But it's just so, like, yeah, like it just makes sense for them to be able to do it. And I always tell parents to do a one pager about their kids at the beginning of the school year for the new teachers
Love.
because
Hmm.
let's be real. I know you have 25 kids in your
I was
class.
going
You
to
have
say,
8
Francis.
of them are special ed, and they're each 35 to 45 pages long if you're lucky on the IEP. They're going to read them, but are they really going to get to know who your child is? Even, I know a lot of the school districts are now doing the IEP at a glance and
Yeah.
just doing the accommodation, but even that 3 or 4 pages, like it's
Hmm.
not, it's doing the best it can, but as a parent, but now with your older kids, your kid can do it. This is who I am. Like for my daughter, one of the first things I always tell the teachers is like, look, she's great at self-regulating, but she needs to have a place that she knows that she can go. So kindergarten, she used to go under the teacher's desk.
Okay. Like a safe space. Okay.
Yeah, like her safe space. So let's look at the classroom and see what works. Oh, that table over there. I'll buy you some fabric to put around that table, and that's perfect because she doesn't want to be seen. She gets like she'll
Okay.
explode.
Okay.
She doesn't want people to see her. She gets embarrassed. She just wants, but she doesn't necessarily want to leave the classroom because she wants to do her work and she wants to do good with her work. But she just needs that quiet space on her own that she can focus and work through her frustration on the work.
That
And
front loading was key for you then, like, or key for
yeah,
her, right? So I
yep.
think one of the practices that I wish schools did more of is like, if you know you're going to stay for the next year, so say you're the second grade teacher and
Mhm.
you have some kids that you want the third grade teacher to know more about, or like things that are unique to them, then like having that vertical alignment meeting around the kids that you're going to inherit, right? Because sometimes it's like when we don't provide that safe space or that place under the table because it feels like too much for you, it's not you, you're not going through it. It's the it's,
Mhm.
it's the kids' safe space, not your safe space. But I think that goes back to like teachers' locus of control too. So being involved in special education takes a different level, like mindset, right? When we
Right,
talk about how we're going to service kids, because we're actually working for them, right?
right.
In the classroom, because I want you to be successful. I want you to be successful academically, socially, and I want you to walk out of here feeling like you did your very best, and
Mhm.
have the measure of success through mastery of IEP goals and life, right?
Yeah,
So I think the conversations goes back to what you were saying around collaboration. Talk
yeah.
to the teacher who you know had them, because they may show up differently for you, right? But
Yep.
that thing about like, I need a safe space, or I need, like, I love cars, right? Like, so for my students who like on the spectrum, who need to perseverate on something, like,
Mhm.
what do I need? What's the tool that I need this year? Right, that's going to help get through, like, what type of fidgets, right? Like, if I need the thermoband on the chair to like
Yep,
get my wigglies out, right? Like, let me have that first day, right? Because then
yep.
that says to the kid, like, oh, they knew I was coming, right? Because
Right,
then
well, and
you know,
it builds that connection in advance. Like,
yes, because
if the kid knows, like, if the kid's into cars, and so their name tag on their desk is a car, that's, like, giving you that initial connection, and as we know with
hmm
teaching, there's gotta be that connection, and it's hard for teachers to know, but if we have this, handoff, can be so helpful too.
so because you never had that kid who's like, well, I'm sure my teacher told you I was going to be bad, or I was going to be XYZ, or I'm not even going to be able to handle this, or you're not going to be able to handle me. And then they walk in with that, like, authority and
Mhm,
confidence. And then you shut them down with like, oh, I already built a relationship before I even met you. Right.
mhm,
Because I think, like, sometimes we make a mistake of like making the paperwork be the only thing that speaks for the kid.
yeah,
Right. Oh, what does your disability category say? Oh, you're this, so that means you must be this,
yep,
right? And so then you meet them and you're like, oh, that's nothing about, like, that's not exactly how you present for me.
right,
So giving kids a multiple at bats, right?
yep,
Every day to show up differently, to be different. And we know, like, that's easier said than done, because there's gonna be
yeah,
some days where you like, man, I I'm having a
mhm,
rough one myself, right? And I'm trying to make sure that you get all your needs met. But like, leveraging your team and like giving these nonverbal cues for kids, like, are you having a good day? You having an off day? Like, let me know. Let's communicate. I think, like, your school counselors also, like, beneficial for a team,
yep,
because you can't always send people to principal's office, okay?
yeah,
But leveraging somebody that feels, like you said, safe space in classroom, safe space outside of classroom, safe person, someone who
right,
can really, like, get you back on track regardless of what it is, right? Because
right.
we all coming in class with our stuff.
Yeah, of
You,
course.
you
We
had a
come to
bad
work with our
day.
stuff, right?
Yeah, like, you're tired, you didn't have your coffee, whatever the case
Yeah,
may be. And so the kids have that too.
yeah,
Like, we tend to think like, oh, well, all you had to do was like get up, eat your breakfast, and come to school.
mm,
Right. When
mm,
in fact, like,
yeah,
there might have been a whole lot of thoughts, right, before you got to
yeah,
school. And so then I'm the one who gets to feel it all, right? Because
right,
mom and dad done dropped you off, grandma done dropped you off. auntie said, have a good day. And you were like, I'm
Mm.
not going to have a good day.
Right.
And they engage with you and you're like, oh boy, here we go.
Right. Right. But
So I
it's,
love that.
like, I'm thinking about like when my daughter had, oh my God, she had an awful morning one morning. And so I
Oh,
emailed the special ed coordinator. I was like, hey, do me a favor, check in on her if you can. She just had a rough morning and I just want to make sure she's okay. And she checked in on her. She's like, she's having like the best day she's ever had. I'm like, really? Like, so she
so
got it
she
out of her
gave it to
system
you.
with me and then went to school and was like, I'm like, okay, great. I'm glad. But she's good about that, turning it around. But it's like,
Oh, that's
know
good.
your kids,
There you go.
Um,
There
yeah,
you go.
I taught at an alternative. So I taught in an alternative middle and high school in Florida. Basically, the kids were the ones like court ordered, like either go to school or go to jail, basically, or juvie.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and so I became the special ed coordinator, and I was substituting one time for a teacher that was out, and they all asked me like, "How the heck did you get that student to do anything?" I said, I walked in and said, "You all have an A right now. You need to work to keep that A." Amazing the difference for those kids
Mm-hmm.
working to keep the A versus working to earn an A.
Yeah.
Because it was like just that mindset of if I do this work, well, I've done it how many times in the past and I always fail. So why am I going to do it? But now it's like, wait, what do you mean I have an A? I'm like, you got an A. And I mean, this kid, it was hysterical because he was like, yo, shush, got to do your work. Keep that A. He was like doing it, but I learned my kids, like I learned these kids. I knew them because being a special ed coordinator and stuff, but I was like, I knew I had to get creative with them and what would work. Is that going to work for everybody? No. But with this group of kids, with 5 kids in the classroom, it's what worked.
Yeah.
And it was, and it was empowering for the kids. But that's like, is it realistic for all situations? No. And, I say this all the time to teachers, like, yes, you might hear me say something. That doesn't mean what you're doing is wrong or this is the only way to do it. It's an idea. It's a support. It's something that worked before with a different child or with this child. Not all personalities can do that. And that's okay. But figure out what works for you and the child or your class and make that work for everyone to the extent.
There you go. Like that differentiation on, out the gate, right? Like differentiation is all of our jobs. Right. It's not just the special educator's job, it's the journalist's job. It's how are we meeting the needs of all the kids in the classroom so that they then meet the goal, right? Whatever that goal is. I think something you said when you talked about everybody gets the A, right? But it's like before they get the grade, they got to know that you like them or like that you care about them. Because granted, you're not going to, be buddy with every kid, but they're going to know. They're going to understand. They're going to be able to feel the energy of like, oh, they're bothered by me, right? And so many times, like the special education students get the short end of the stick in that regard because your paperwork spoke about you before they even met you, right? And I wish like kids would be empowered enough to say like, I am not my paperwork, right? Like I am greater than my paperwork. This is just a piece of like my story, my puzzle, what I'm bringing to the table. And I'm going to show you, right? Like I'm going to prove to you that I can do X, Y, Z, whatever it is. Right. I love that.
Yeah. But for kids that, especially our older kids, and I don't want to say beat down, but like for our older kids that their behaviors have defined them year after year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just becomes like they've heard it all the time. You're a bad kid. You're a bad kid. You're a bad kid. Now I'm a bad kid. That's what they're telling themselves. So a bad kid does this. That's what I need to do.
Unless you know what I mean? Yeah. Until you find like that niche, right? Like what is it that I saw you do that you didn't even realize I was looking at, So I do also encourage like teachers to talk to kids at lunch. Like when it's like recess or go to like one of their the team games if they're in sports like soccer, football, basketball, and just see how they interact, Right. Because it's powerful to like go into class in the morning and be like, oh, I saw you, Francis, you did really good at the soccer game yesterday. They would be like, what, you were there? Like, or like, you saw me? Right. So it's like, oh man, I really love how you did that. Because that has nothing to do with school. Right. It has everything to do with like, I saw you and being seen, heard, valued, like they care. Right. Whether you could be the toughest. Right. And you still want somebody to say, I see you. Right.
Yeah.
And you're bringing something to the table. Like you have something to offer the world. Especially like our older kids you're going to high school, you're going to college, whatever your path is, right? Maybe you're just going directly to work or work a trade. I want you to know that you can, disability or not. Right. Because disability is your superpower. Like
exactly.
Superpower, right? Like
my daughter my daughter came up with the team name when we did the Autism Speaks for in DC, and she came up with the team name Different, Not Less.
Come on, daughter.
Right?
Love it. Love that.
I love it. You know, love it was great.
Autism and then she did favorite by far. Autism is my favorite to like unpack, you know, to utilize like the arts, but everything to just explore, be curious about. So I'm glad that she's empowered. You know, she's gonna be an empowered woman, right? To share her story.
But I'm like, I love it because she totally came up with it on her own. I'm like, oh, that's good. I like that. You know, like it was kind of like, you know, so, But like, and that's the truth of it. It's like, you know, and this would be a whole nother show and a whole nother conversation. But like, what is the deal of everybody having to get straight A's? You know, like,
that's right, Francis. Like mastery is mastery.
Math. Yeah, some are good in art, some are good in English. It's okay. You don't have to get straight A's. You can be good at one and not the other.
Yeah, because you're going to be an adult in a workforce where there's no grades.
Yep. Right? And like an accountant, yes, you know how you need how to write something. You know what I mean? Like, but and an accountant, you need to be really good at math. Yeah. And as a lawyer, you need to know how to write. The joke is lawyers don't know how to do math. Don't ask me what 2 + 2 is, you know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to be really good at math. We don't have to understand it all. We can lean on our accountant to help us with that. And that's the thing. So like, why do I need straight A's in English and math? Not that everybody and everything. But like, you know, like, look at the child for who they are and empower them to be themselves and excel where they can, and let them know it's okay to not excel in another area.
And like, don't compare yourself to others, right?
Oh, yep.
Don't compare yourself to others in your class, or even if you have siblings that may or may not have a disability. Right? Like, parents, don't compare your kids.
No.
Even if they're on the same spectrum. Like, they're each their own individual human, right? With their own set of strengths. And they're going to make you proud as long as you make them proud, right?
And
you are their biggest advocate. Yes.
Right? Let them be themselves and be okay with that. You know, like, yes, do I want my daughter to go to college and maybe master's and, you know, advanced degrees? If that's what she wants. Like, yes, it's expected in my culture and my family and, you know, but I'm okay if that's not the path she chooses. It's a path that's available to her, but if she chooses to not take that path, that's okay. We can go another way. And that's the thing. It's like, be okay with letting your child participate and decide their path for the future.
Yeah, and I'm sure that like takes longer for some people to digest or come to grips with, right? Because of whatever societal norms or family cultural like experiences have told them to do, because sometimes kids are stifled and they are free in school, like freer in school, because it's like, this teacher's not, you know, my mom or, you know, my aunt. So I think that like that is a good way. It's like, we want you to be curious adults. You know, because that's what we need in the world. Everybody can't be the same.
Exactly.
No.
Like, you know, everybody's got to be different, because look how boring it would be. Like, and like, if all of us were good at math, who's going to be the lawyer? Who's going to do the English? Who's going to be the librarian? You know, like, we all have our different areas. times.
Mm-hmm.
I was just noticing the time, and I'm like, oh, we could talk all day, and I know it,
We could,
right?
because this is something we're really passionate about. So
Yeah,
appreciate you.
yeah.
Mhm.
So thank you so much. So if people, well, but you work specifically in schools, right?
Yes, yes.
So like the general population couldn't reach out and be like, hey, can I talk to you about services? That wouldn't really be.
I mean, you could. I would tell you who to talk to in your districts, right? Or if you had specific questions. I work to support and coach teachers who support students with disabilities. So I was a special education teacher in the classroom for many years, right? And then I used like the arts integration strategies to move my kids,
Mhm.
the data, but all around, like everything that I've talked about, I really truly believe in. So we have a gamut of disabilities that I currently support, with the highest being SLD, autism, and OHI. And so like that, the few and far in between as kids enroll, as seasons change, as times and years go past. But if a generalist wanted to ask me a question, I would be more than happy to support them, general population, because I know that districts across the world have different expectations, right? And so I think like being in DC, we have the opportunity to be exposed to some of the things that are working well for us, and they have the resources that support students. So anybody can reach out. I would try my best to to respond and to answer the best way I can, but can put you in contact with something that makes somebody that may be helpful, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you
Awesome.
for asking.
Yeah. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all your words of wisdom with our listeners.
Thank you so much, Francis. It was a blast.
Yes, it was. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of Stress Free IEP. We hope today's conversation gave you new tools, insights, or just a little more peace of mind as you support your neurodivergent child. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone in your village. Next week, we're going to have episode 152, where David Pissarra is going to talk about dads, family court, and IEP rights. You can always learn more and connect with me at schefterlaw.com or follow along on social media. Until next time, remember, you do not have to do it all alone.